I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him. You know, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time. I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. I had nightmares about it afterwards.
You're sitting down there having cocktails while Bill Clinton's getting a massage from some girl who's rubbing her tits against the back of his head, whether knowingly or unknowingly having sex with underage girls.
Everybody wants to be.
Maybe some guys, that was their thing.
Sure.
Because it seemed like with Epstein, that was his thing.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan just said out loud what no one was expecting him to say and named some of his best friends who were connected to the Epstein files. The latest release of more than 3 million documents, emails, and videos by the Department of Justice exposed some of the most powerful people in the world as being connected to Jeffrey Epstein. And today, we're going to look at all the names that were in the files.
It's so tangled. The whole thing is just, I think everybody who looks at it realizes this is a rabbit hole that just goes to the center of the earth. And there's so many people involved in that. Here's the big question that people ask. If there was a Jeffrey Epstein, and it seems like all these things he was involved in, is there a Jeffrey Epstein right now that we don't know about?
There's a million of them.
A million of them.
I mean, this is why I find this is not the core of what I focus on, but I find it a really interesting field of study because it helps understand so many other U.S. government institutions and the relationship between government and private business. Jeffrey Epstein is part of a class of what are effectively professional fixers. And this is a kind of class of professional who sits not really within a particular government or private sector institution, but in the kind of sticky layer between them that connects them all.
Less than a week ago, the Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of records, around 2,000 videos, and about 180,000 images from various investigations tied to Epstein. Most of these records had been heavily redacted. But despite names being blacked out and faces being hidden, once you start connecting the dots, it becomes clear that high-profile political figures, billionaires, CEOs, and even members of the British royal family were connected to Jeffrey Epstein, including after his arrest. What's shocking is that these weren't just vague associations or passing encounters. The documents include flight logs, internal emails, contact lists, sworn testimony, and video evidence that repeatedly placed the same powerful names around Epstein over many years.
You're telling me there's a place where they bring elites to compromise them with underage girls and they film them? Really? Like, what? Cut the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, no, President Clinton's been there. Everyone's been there. Like, what? It sounds like nonsense. And not only is it true, but people keep getting fucking murdered for it. Did you see that latest Clinton advisor that got murdered about it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hung with an extension cord, shot himself in the chest 30 miles from his house, and they're calling it a suicide.
And now even Elon Musk is asking, where's the clientele list?
Yeah.
We should probably see who's been to that island.
Yeah, we should probably see who's been to that island.
Now here's the thing. Joe learned about Epstein's island long before any of this went public. According to him, Alex Jones was warning him about Epstein decades ago, long before the story went mainstream. Joe explained that Alex Jones kept insisting something dark was happening on Epstein's island, claiming it wasn't just a place for wealthy people to party, but a hub where powerful figures were being compromised. At the time, Joe brushed it off. It sounded too extreme, too unprovable, and honestly too insane to take seriously. But looking back now, Joe says that's exactly what makes the situation so disturbing.
The guy who told me about Epstein's island more than a decade ago, and I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. I was like, what are you saying? There's an island, like it sounds like a plot in a movie. There's an island where they fly famous rich scientists and politicians and they compromise them with underage girls and get it on film so they could use it against them. I'm like, what? That sounds like lizard people. It sounds like, 5G creates COVID, same thing.
Yeah.
But turns out it was true. And it's one of many things. He was the first one to warn me about a social credit score system. He's like, they're going to try to implement a social credit score system, and your money is going to be tied. They'll have centralized digital currency, and your money will be tied to your social credit score system, and you step out of line, you won't be able to buy things. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to do anything. They're going to try to keep you within a 15-minute radius of your home, and they're starting to...
With this new release, however, all of it is starting to make more sense. And the names of the people involved are shocking. What's wild is how many of these names were already floating around years ago, quietly mentioned and quickly dismissed. Back then, the media framed them as coincidences or unproven associations. But with the latest batch of documents, those same names are now reappearing alongside concrete timelines, repeated contact, and direct links to Epstein's operations.
And the chairman of a prominent law firm is stepping down over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Paul Weiss law chair Brad Karp says in a statement, quote, "Recent reporting has created a distraction and has placed a focus on me that's not in the best interest of the firm." The firm says Karp will remain with the firm, just in a different role. Senior Washington reporter Will Staken is here for more. Hi, Will. So what's the latest on this growing list of prominent people facing scrutiny over the Epstein files?
Yeah, Diane, well I think, Mr. Karp right here is kind of the latest fallout from these Epstein files. Like you said, the really powerful law firm Paul Weiss announced that Mr. Karp would be stepping down after his name appeared in these files. Now, the law firm did not give a reason why Mr. Karp is stepping down, and previously the law firm denied Mr. Karp had any wrongdoing, but with this release of these files, his name appears in the files, mostly with his assistant trying to schedule meetings with Mr. Epstein. But there's an email between Mr. Karp and Epstein where he's asking about if he could help, get his son some kind of job in an upcoming Woody Allen film. So I think these emails, obviously are continuing to have fallout across, widespread industries. It's kind of the latest fallout here. We saw recently that popular wellness influencer Peta Attia also stepped down from his role at the protein company David.
Bill Gates is one of the names now under heavy scrutiny. A photo of Bill Gates posing with a woman whose face has been redacted appeared in the files. There were also emails attributed to Epstein that suggested Gates was attempting to hide a personal health issue from his wife after contact with women from overseas. As soon as these emails became public, Bill Gates issued a statement calling them completely false and absurd. He suggested Epstein may have been attempting to defame or extort him, pointing to a 2013 email that alleged Gates tried to provide antibiotics to his wife as a precaution.
Just seen this interview with Bill Gates on Channel 9.
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
There we go. I never met any women. Wow, this is getting curiouser and curiouser, Esther.
Yes, it is. And unfortunately for Bill Gates, now he has to probably deal with the insinuation, at least for many people, that Melinda chose to divorce him and get herself out of that world, also because of his association or his tenuous links, which he denies, with Jeffrey Epstein. The allegation that he presumably got an STD from a Russian prostitute that was associated with Jeffrey Epstein was actually written in a note by Jeffrey Epstein to himself.
One of the more personal angles of this story is how it affected Gates' marriage. Melinda Gates has openly said that Epstein's involvement played a role in her decision to leave. She stated that the revelations were painful and raised serious red flags for her long before the divorce, especially regarding Bill's judgment in continuing contact with Epstein after his conviction.
I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time. Did you? Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It's awful.
Many people named in the files have used the same explanation, claiming Epstein was attempting to extort them. According to these individuals, Epstein allegedly collected emails, information, and potentially compromising material as leverage. On the surface, that explanation sounds believable. Epstein surrounded surrounded himself with powerful figures, and multiple witnesses have said he documented nearly everything. But this is where the story starts to fall apart. If Epstein was blackmailing all of these people, why did so many of them continue meeting with him? And how did he maintain access for so long? Joe has a very interesting idea about how this was happening.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state-funded, you're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like... Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s. Yeah. And she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so her tits are juggling around.
While he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing. He was fishing for nerds, and I think he caught a lot of nerds in that net.
Epstein wasn't working alone. One person doesn't suddenly gain access to royal families in Saudi Arabia and England without help. The idea that a random financier could move freely among royalty, heads of state, and billionaires doesn't align with how power actually works. Epstein didn't stumble into these circles. He was placed there. Relationships like these are built through gatekeepers, intermediaries, and institutions that benefit from keeping certain people connected and certain secrets buried. Royal families don't socialize with unknown financiers unless someone they trust is vouching for them. That's the most uncomfortable part of this entire story.
There's a lot of those
100%.
guys that wound up going to that island. They probably thought, this is great. We get to party.
Nothing's free.
And they probably felt like they were rock stars because they get to hang out with the intellectual elite on an island with a guy who's just a billionaire philanthropist who's eccentric, who just loves women. He's a professed bachelor, and it all seemed too good to be true.
It's so true.
Because it was.
Yeah.
So I think he was an asset. Whether or not it was for the Mossad strictly, or Israel strictly, or the United States strictly, whether it was a CIA thing, whatever, I don't know. But I think it was probably a part of a blackmail compromise effort.
Yeah.
Because those guys, there's a fucking dirty secret about these people that are in Congress, and they party. Okay? They're regular guys and regular women, and they're in their 30s or 40s or whatever they are, and every now and then they do coke, and they get drunk, and they...
Human beings.
Remember that DC madam that had a whole book of people, and then she wound up committing suicide? She said, I'm not suicidal, and
See ya.
Yeah. Because there's probably a lot like that. And
Fuck yeah.
those kind of honeypot operations, they let these freaks know, like, hey, you're going to be safe with me. Charlie will take care of everything. Look, Bill Clinton used to come here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to the
And
island.
that's a big endorsement. It's like presidents were here, so it must be a secure area.
Exactly.
I can get
we
down.
are on the island with Bill. This
Yeah.
is fine.
And
We're
all these
fine.
girls show up, and you're like, well, this is Christmas in July.
Bill is really interested in string theory. He'd like to talk to you about string theory. So you're sitting down there having cocktails while Bill Clinton's getting a massage from some girl who's rubbing her tits against the back of his head while she's massaging you.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, that's really interesting. Hey, I'm kind of tired. I'm gonna take a nap.
Another thing about black holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they all thought that it was this lovely exchange of powerful people and brilliant people. And then they were just getting dirt on all of them. Guys cheating on their wives, guys, whether knowingly or unknowingly, having sex with underage girls.
Everybody
And
wants to be.
Maybe some guys, that was their thing.
Sure.
Because it seemed like with Epstein, that was his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I don't think there's any evidence to either. I think it's all been I don't think there was collected with that plea deal, and I don't think there's any list that's going to point to. There's no smoking gun. That's
I don't know about that.
I think it's all been, taken care of. I think that it's. I think you could open up every file.
But that's the truth. Why did they have all those files? Why did they parade around with these binders?
Because
and
a
say,
lot of.
Do you remember those photo ops that they said? Like, look, they did like a thing. We have the Epstein files right here, and they had binders. Like, what kind of political theater is that? If you don't really have the Epstein files, like,
probably
what is
theater. And what I mean by that is I think, like, if they are keeping something quiet, it's because it's video of underage girls, or it's video of the victims who don't want that to be out there. And the Justice Department cannot make that public. They cannot bring that to Congress. That's all sealed for their privacy, right?
Well, that is the argument. But then they're saying now that there are no files. They're saying there's no video.
I believe that. Don't you?
Boy, I don't know. I think they have video. I think if you've got an island and you want compromise on people, you can't just have hearsay.
I would say I would agree.
I watched him fuck that girl. Let's sue him. No, that's not how it works. You have to have video, and then you have to show it to the guy. Like, Mr. Clinton, have a seat.
Yeah.
This idea might sound extreme, but the latest Epstein file release also revealed how deeply Epstein was connected to figures inside Donald Trump's broader circle. While Trump has denied wrongdoing and insists he cut ties with Epstein years ago, his name appears numerous times across the newly released documents. More notably, several of Trump's close associates are shown in emails and messages maintaining friendly contact with Epstein after his initial arrest. Elon Musk also appears in the files through emails from 2012 to 2013 discussing possible meetings and travel plans. Musk has said he never visited the island and never flew on Epstein's plane, insisting the emails are being misinterpreted. Regardless, the documents show he was familiar with Epstein.
And a top Justice Department official says the review of the Jeffrey Epstein files is over. The same official indicated there would be no new charges. Now the Trump administration is facing backlash from Epstein survivors and Democrats. This was California Congressman Rogan yesterday.
There is a demand for elite accountability, but the survivors' lawyers that I've talked to have said that the survivors are still upset. They're upset that many of their names accidentally came out without redactions, and they want to make sure the rest of the files come out.
CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us from our Washington bureau with more on this. Scott, you've been sifting through as much of this as you can. What's in this so-called final batch?
It's a process. We're still working through millions of pages here, Errol. And it's worth noting these were released more than 40 days after the legal deadline for the Department of Justice to do so. No one besides Epstein and former associate Ghislaine Maxwell has been charged, but the Department of Justice insisting its work is done has only fueled more controversy.
Joe also talked about the way the government has handled the release of these files. He pointed out that if there was truly nothing to hide, the documents would have been released all at once, clean and unfiltered. Instead, they've been released slowly, in fragmented batches, filled with redactions, delays, and vague explanations. Even after Congress mandated their release, the Justice Department admitted that large portions were still being withheld.
The Epstein releases, like before we got started, like, first of all,
the
like
photo dump and the emails, it's fucking nuts.
But it's also they're doing it so slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys have had this stuff for a year. Like,
we were promised multiple times, it's coming.
Doesn't it seem like you could just throw all that into AI at this stage of the game?
Yes.
And just redact the names of the victims and let's go?
Yeah, of course.
It seems like that would take 5 minutes.
I mean, it feels like, you can't help but feel like the administration is just like watching their back, and that's why it's happening.
Watching someone's back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all speculative why they haven't released it, but it's not good. It's not good for everybody's confidence.
No.
It's not good that this thing was going on, that they had this bizarre blackmail operation running. That's very weird.
Very strange.
Very weird. But it kind of makes sense. Because if you're a 60-year-old billionaire and you're a freak and you like to get your freak on, but unfortunately you're a gigantic software developer and everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to get your freak on.
Well, that's the thing is, like, it makes sense when you go like, oh, some of these dudes really liked visiting that place.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the only place they can go.
Right.
You can't go anywhere else.
Right, and that's why they set it up for them.
Yeah.
Eric Weinstein said that to me once. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
If you're the former president of the
Yeah.
United States, you can't go to a nightclub.
Yeah, he said, I think there are people out there that provide experiences for certain people that have a hunger for them.
Yeah.
I was like, of course. And that's also how they compromise people too, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's how they get you to vote the way they want you to vote and play ball. Bobby, we got video, you sucking a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do? Yeah. Because, I bet all those people have something on them. That's how they stay in the game.
They have to.
It's like skull and bones. You got to suck the dick.
Well, look at
Otherwise, we can't trust you.
For the Epstein shit, look at the level of people that we're visiting. I mean, it's all at the highest level of influence, power, and fame.
Yeah.
And so you go, yeah, this dude wants to do some wild shit. He can't go to Cheetahs and get it done. You know?
Yeah.
You can't do it. He's got to go somewhere. Yeah. What sounds good? A private island.
Yeah, he can't just order up a call girl.
It's too risky.
Where are you going? I'm going to Captain Billionaire's house to go suck his dick. I do it every Tuesday. Plus, I'm on meth. And I'm really good at keeping secrets.
Yeah. These guys.
We're only scratching the surface of what's in these files. While those theories were widely dismissed years ago, the repeated language in Epstein-related emails has raised new questions for some observers. Share your thoughts. Which revelations shocked you the most? And don't forget to like the video if you want us to keep breaking down every new detail as it comes.